Good day to everyone. We are the Group 2 from BE Ed 1A. Before I will start my report, I will introduce myself first. I am Liza Q. Colares from BE Ed 1A. Our topic for today, it's all about introduction of history, definition, issues, source, and methodology. What is history? History is derived from a Greek word historia, means knowledge, and knowledge acquired through inquiry or investigations. And also it is a branch of knowledge that records and explains past events. And in short, it is all about past events, and we are going to study at present time. Let us come to historical documents. Historical documents are original documents that contain important historical information about a present, place, or event, and can serve as primary sources of information, ingredients of the historical knowledge.
Good day everyone. My name is Melody Echo from BE Ed 1A, one of the members of Group 2. Valid historical documents. Historical documents, also known as primary sources, are most often produced around the time of the events you are studying and provides direct or first-hand evidence about an event, objectives, person, or work of art. They can reflect what their creator observed or believed about the event. Additionally, historical documents enable you, the researcher, to get as close as possible to what actually happened during a historical event or time period. Government records, chronicles accounts, personal letters, family tree, biography, and receipt. Discrimination in the validity of history. Restricting historical evidence as exclusively written is a discrimination against other social classes who were not recorded in paper.
Good day everyone. I am Evelyn J. De Los Santos from BE Ed 1A. I will discuss about the historiography. Historiography, it is simply defined as an academic thereby of studying on how the history of a certain thing started. How the history written by whom? Ito yung pag-aaral by history itself. It leads on how to notice the historical events that time. Then, the importance of historiography is it helps us understand why historical events has been interpreted so differently over time. In other words, historiography helps us examine not only history itself, but also the broader overlying characteristics that shape the recording of history itself. However, the discipline of the historiography was first established in the 5th century BC with the historian of Herodotus, the founder of historiography. Then, between history and historiography, ay may differences sila because history is the event or period in the study of it, while the historiography is the study of how history was written, who wrote it, and what factors influence how it was written. But between history and historiography, ay may similarity din sila. History and historiography both deal with the past because history is the study of the human past, while the historiography is the study of history writing.
Good day everyone, my name is Jermina Picarinan from BE Ed 1A, and this is the continuation of the discussion about questions and issues in history. Positivism emerged in 18th and 19th century. Positivism focused on reliable sources or based on investigation. Positivism, an empiricist philosophical theory or teoryang umaasa sa obserbasyon. And positivism, from the word itself, positive, thought that require empirical and observable evidence before one can claim that one knowledge or a particular knowledge is true. Dito naman kinakailangan na patunayan o bigyan ng obserbasyon or evidence bago daw maangkin ng isang tao ang isang partikular na kaalaman. It is positivism, it is also the beliefs and that historians should pursue the objective truth of the past by allowing historical source to speak for themselves. Dito naman naniniwala na dapat ituloy ng mga mananalaysay ang layunin nila para sa katotohanan ng nakaraan sa pamamagitan ng pagpapahintulot sa kanila na isiwalat ang kanilang kaalaman or magsalita sila para sa kanilang sarili. Positivism defines knowledge solely unobservable and facts does not give any credence to non-observable entities such as feelings and values. Dito naman tinutukoy na ang kaalaman lamang ang nakikitang katotohanan at hindi nagbibigay ng anumang paniniwala sa mga hindi nakikitang intilidad tulad ng damdamin o nararamdaman ng isang tao. Auguste Comte is a French philosopher who originator of positivism. Positivist historians are expected to be objective and impartial not just in their argument but also in their conducted of historical research. Dito naman, ang mga mananalaysay ay may layunin layunin nila at na dapat na wala silang kinikilingan sa pagsasalaysay ng makasaysayang or pagsasagawa ng makasaysayang pananaliksik. Next is post-colonialism. The term post-colonialism is also sometimes used to refer to the struggles of indigenous people in many parts of the world in early 20th century. Ang post-colonialism daw ay tumutukoy sa pakikipagbaka ng mga katutubo sa maraming bahagi ng mundo noong ika-20th siglo. When formerly colonized nation grapples with the idea of creating the identities and understanding their societies against the shadow of their colonial past, two things in writing history. First one is to tell history of their nation that will highlight their identity free from that of colonial discourse and knowledge. Dito naman daw is para ipahayag ang kasaysayan ng isang bansa upang mapagpapatingkad sa pagpapakilanlan na malaya ang kolonyalismo na diskurso at kaalaman. The second one is to criticize the method, effects, and idea of colonialism. Dito naman daw is upang punahin ang mga pamamaraan, epekto at ideya ng kolonyalismo.
A historian is a person who studies and writes about the past, and disregarding as an authority on it. Historians are concerned with the continuous, methodical narrative and research about the past events as it's relating to the human race, as well as the study of all history in time. Ang historian, ito yung mga taong nananaliksik o nag-aaral sa mga nangyari noong panahon. Sila yung nagtatrabaho at naghahanap ng mga ebidensya o mga impormasyon para may maisulat silang mga history para malaman natin kung ano nangyari noong panahon. At dahil sa kanila, meron tayong nalalaman na mga nangyari noon kahit wala tayo doon sa panahon na yun. At dahil yun sa kanila.
Does it ever cross your brilliant mind how the historians come up with a story from the past? And why historical methodology is important in the study of history? Let us all find the answer as we discuss about our topic for today, which is the historical methodology. I am Jenny Evangelio, your discussant for today. It is the process by which historians gather evidence and formulate ideas about the past. It is also the framework through which an account of the past is constructed. Historians uses different evidence to support their story. Historical evidence can take variety of form. Among the most important types of historical evidence is primary source. And in order for us to know that the gathered evidence are real, we will use historical methodology. The most commonly known historical methodology includes paleography. It is the study of historical handwriting. Diplomatics, the study of documents, records, and archives. Chronology, establishing the dates of past events. The study of publication.
Good day, my name is Vina May Odevera from BEd 1A, and to continue the discussion, I will discuss the Annals School of History and the Annals Scholar. So what is the Annals School of History? So, Annals School of History was born in France that challenged the canons of history. So, it's focused on the idea of the history of ideologies, worldviews, and the mental structures like the historical context. So, in the way that humans perceive and operate within the world, time and the interrelationships across different timelines are crucial. So history becomes a dialogue between the past and the present, with the investigator's role being to simultaneously investigate both the investigator's own interests and ideas, as well as those unique to the culture of the people being researched. So, the goal of Annal was to undo the work of the subordinates. So the subordinates are those graduated with Sorbonne, and they believe the thought of their philosophical or religious view of point. So to turn the French historians away from the narrowly political and diplomatic toward the new vistas in social and economic history. So let's go to the Annal scholars. So first we have Marc Bloch. So Marc Bloch was a French historian, and he was the leading French medievalist of the 20th century. So he inspired two generations of historians through his teaching and writing. Next we have Lucien Febvre. Lucien Paul Victor Febvre was a French historian, best known for the role he played in establishing the Annal Schools of History. He was the initial editor of the Encyclopédie Francaise, together with Anatole de Monce. So, Marc Bloch and Lucien Febvre was the two persons who first established the Annal School of History. Next of them is Fernand Braudel. So, Fernand Braudel was the French historian and a leader of the Annal School. His scholarship focused on the three main projects: the Mediterranean, the civilization, and capitalism, and last, the unfinished identity of France. So, Fernand Braudel developed the Annal School of History during the 1950s to 1960s, and it has history. History is a proponent of historical materialism, which Braudel rejected Marxist materialism, stressing the equal importance of infrastructure and superstructure, both of which reflected enduring social, economic, and cultural realities. Lastly, we have Jacques Le Goff. So Jacques Le Goff was a French historian and a prolific author specializing in the Middle Ages, particularly the 12th and 13th centuries. So Le Goff championed the Annal School movement, which emphasizes long-term trends over the topics of politics, diplomacy, and war that dominated 19th century historical research. So that's all. I hope you gained something. May I call on the next presenter. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Norilyn De Los Reyes, BEd 1A. Now, I will discuss about his sources. Ano nga ba ang sources or historical sources? These are materials that contain historical information or information about significant events from the past. Historical sources are classified into two. We have primary and secondary sources. So, what is the distinction between primary and secondary sources? When we say primary sources, these are accounts of an event, personal written or narrated of an individual. That individual is directly experienced or participate in such event. Basically, he is the eyewitness. The example of primary sources are pictures or photograph, voice or video recording na nagka-capture ng mismong event, and government publication
halimbawa yung mga batas na isinulat noong unang panahon. Yan, we also consider that as a primary sources. Next is diary. That's why marami tayong alam tungkol kay Rizal, sa naging buhay ni Rizal, because of his diary. And then next is letter. Letters also, we can also consider that as a primary sources. Letter na galing mismo doon sa tao na nandoon sa mismong event. And then next is the secondary sources. Secondary sources means it serve as a interpretation or replica ng primary sources. What are the example of secondary sources? Halimbawa is article or opinion about sa isang historical event. Next is book review ng LP or Noli Me Tangere. We also consider that as a secondary sources. Next is conference paper. Halimbawa, nagkaroon ng isang seminar sa pag-aaral sa libro ni Rizal. And then is documentary about sa mga historical event. We also consider that as a secondary event. And then next is mga pelikula. Yung mga pelikula, we also consider that a secondary resources. Halimbawa, yung pelikula about kay General Luna, kay Goyo, o yan, isa din yan sa mga secondary sources. And secondary sources is the interpretation or replica ng primary sources.
Hello everyone, I am Ikara Rodessa May Francisco from BA Ed A1, and I will continue the discussion. My discussion is all about criticism. Two kinds of criticism, external criticism and internal criticism. What is external criticism? It is the practice of verifying the authenticity of evidence by examining its physical characteristics. Consistency with the historical characteristic of the time when it was produced, and the materials used for the evidence, and refers to the authenticity of the document, once the document has been determined to be genuine. An example of the external criticism is the things that will be examined when conducting external criticism of a document, including the quality of the paper, the type of ink, and the language and words used in the materials, among others. Second is internal criticism. What is internal criticism? It is when you have to prove that the documents is what it say it is. Look at the content of the source and examine the circumstance of its production. Looks the truthfulness and factuality of the evidence by looking at the author of the source, its context, the agenda behind its creation, the knowledge which inform it, and its intended purpose. Enchant that the historian acknowledge and analyze how such report can be manipulated to be used as a war propaganda. Next is validating historical source is important because the use of unverified, falsified, and untruthful historical source can lead to equally false conclusions. And without true criticism of historical evidence, historical deceptions and lies would all be probable. And for example of internal criticism is if the documents in questions are Rizal's letter. You asked if the handwritten was Rizal's or it's the paper of already existing during Rizal's time. And that's all. Thank you.
I am Felicity Faye Cruz from BEd 1A, and I am here to talk about some of deception cases in Philippine history. Hawks Code of Kalanchaw. The code was a set of rules contained in an epic maragtas, which was allegedly written by Dato Kalanchaw. The document was sold to National Library and was regarded as an important document. Ito ay isa sa pinakamalaking hoax o panloloko sa ating kasaysayan, ang Code of Kalanchaw. Ito ang mga batas noon na di umano na sinusunod ng ating mga ninuno sa isla ng Negros bago pa dumating ang mga Kastila. Si Kalanchaw ang dato na gumawa ng isang grupo ng mga batas kung saan nakasaad kung anong klaseng parusa ang ipapato sa iyo kapag nakagawa ka ng isang krimen. Sample ng mga batas doon ay kung ikaw ay nakapatay, nakasakit o nagnakaw, ang maaaring parusa sa iyo ay ipakagat ka sa napakaraming langgam or ibabad ka sa kumukulong tubig. Diba? Parang may mga batas nga pero parang weird. So, noong 1968, pinatunay ng Amerikanong scholar na si Henry Scott na peke ang Code of Kalanchaw. Ayon kay Scott, maraming inconsistencies at meron bang tunay na Kalanchaw dahil sinasabing siya ay taga-Panay pero ang dokumento naman ay nandoon sa Negros. Pinatunayan din ni Jose Marco, isang kolektor ng mga lumang dokumento na hindi ito totoo. Another one is Ferdinand Marcos as World War II soldier. This was widely believed by students of history and Marcos had war medals to show. This claim was disproven when historian counter-checked Marcos' claim with the war records of United States. So, sa website ng National Commission Historical of the Philippines, makikita ang mga lumang dokumento kaugnay kay Marcos noong gyera. Lumalabas raw sa pag-aaral na peke ang mga war medals nito. Hindi rin kinilala ng Amerika ang guerrilla unit na Maharlika na sinasabing pinamunuan niya. At ayon sa pananaliksik ng kongresista at retired Philippine Army Colonel Bonifacio, na wala naman raw record na nakatanggap si Marcos ng kahit anong award sa World War II.
The Philippine Historical. Philippine Historical has its rules to will inform and be permanently alive the history. This Philippine Historical is categorized by 5 agencies, which is National Historical Commission of the Philippines, National Commission for Culture and Arts, Department of Education, the Intramuros Administration, and National Bureau of Investigation to the Philippine Historical Agencies. Its goal is to raise knowledge and appreciation of our heroes and other great Filipinos' honorable deeds and ideas, as well as educational activities on historical events, increasingly public awareness and understanding of cultural heritage.
Good day everyone, I am Angeline M. Carion and I'm going to give the overall insight of our group. History is the foundation of present and future. Without history, we do not exist right now. Everything in this world has its own history. It has bad side and also good side. People who are involved in our history must be acknowledged and give importance. But the lack of technologies and materials and some hindrances, they are not acknowledged. But God knows who they are. Our history makes us strong and more intelligent. That's why it's our duty to study our history and pass it to the next generation. We can't wait to learn more about our history, and because we know that the root of our history is none other than God. Thank you very much and God bless all. Have a nice day.
We gladly hope that you gain and learn some information about our reports. And here it ends our presentation. Thank you.